All right, Stormy, we need all your help. First and foremost, we got a bunch of games going on this weekend. So let's just start with DC Seattle. These two teams have faced each other a little bit. Is there a play that you really like in this game?
Too many. I love this game. I'm a big fan of this game. I'm excited about it. I, generally speaking, like Seattle a lot, plus the 3 points in this spot. They obviously dropped both regular season meetings with the Defenders this year, but it was by a combined 5 points. Yeah, that week 1 game that I was on the sideline for, where DiNucci fumbles on the goal line with a shot to win. Week 8, they just lose by 1 point. It's a heartbreaker. And both of those games just coming down to the final seconds. I talked to Ben DiNucci a week ago because we had their final game of the regular season where, all the tiebreakers, by the way, I'm so glad that the math is over with and Seattle is just in it. But he even said, not trying to look too far ahead, but if we get another shot at DC, it's really hard to beat a team 3 times, and we want to make the most of that opportunity. And I know Jim Haslett even said he thinks this game's going to be better than the championship because of how competitive these two teams were in the regular season. So I like Seattle plus the 3, plus 3.5 I've seen out there as well. And you look at this DC team who started the season off so great against the spread. They were 6-0 straight up and ATS, but the last 4 games of the season have been 1-3 against the numbers since. And I feel like there's just a lot of things that are trending up Seattle. And I also, though, will say that DC first half is a play that's been really, really successful throughout the course of the season. Well, I think Seattle in the second half is going to turn that offense on like we've seen time and time again. DC's defense tends to struggle in the second half. So first half is where they get out the gates really, really strong. They've had halftime leads in 7 straight games, none by fewer than 4 points. And I think that their average halftime lead has been around 8.5 points. So it feels like a safe bet to get them -1.5, -2 in the early going.
All right, well, you like a lot of plays in this game. What about the other game? We have Houston and Arlington. What are you seeing in there that you really like?
Well, unfortunately, we didn't get to take a whole lot away from last week, right? It was kind of just like a glorified dress rehearsal type of a thing. I do think that Houston -6 is the better bet where things sit right now. We saw last week where Arlington didn't really have a whole lot of reason to go all out, yet they still started a number of their starters against Houston, who was largely second teamers out there to begin. And they still won by 6 in that spot, Houston did. I really hoped Arlington would be a little bit more efficient with the football since they did start Luis Perez, trying to get that continuity with reps and build chemistry offensively. But they still just had another game where they couldn't score an offensive touchdown. They were 3 of 12 on third down. Perez had a pick, was sacked twice. I feel like Houston has kind of had 3 seasons in a way where they started off the season 4-0. They had that 0-3 stretch and then have kind of flipped the switch back around and gotten on the right track. And I'm very cautiously optimistic about this play. I like all my bets in Seattle, DC a whole lot more than I do in this game, but I feel like Houston laying the 6 is the better bet right now.
When we talk playoffs, it makes me think home field advantage, but that just makes me think home field advantage in the XFL. You went to all these environments. What did you think was the best environment in the league this year?
So I know a lot of people are going to say St. Louis because they have the most fans in attendance, right? And it was a very, very fun environment there. But it is a no-brainer for me that the DC Defenders have the best home field at Audi Field. It is freaking bumping. Those fans go crazy. The beer snake. We had that game last week that was, like a noon kickoff local time, and it is never too early to get the beer snake going. They're awesome.
Doesn't the beer snake stink at some point, though? This is what I can't figure out. It's a bunch of warm beer. At some point, the beer has to smell bad. Stormy?
It does. I think that once you have that much beer, you don't notice any smells or scents anymore. So you're immune at that point.
That makes sense.
Go ahead.
All right, Stormy, we need to get your last pick real quick. Champion, who wins it all? We saw the odds moments ago.
So I feel like I'm in kind of good shape with my futures in general because DC and Seattle are the 2 best teams in the league for me, period. And I bought in on Seattle at 10-1 when they were down, when they had lost 2 games to open the season. So I got a really good number on them. And I got DC a few weeks into the season at plus 550. I very firmly believe that the champion is going to come from the XFL North. So whoever wins this game between Seattle and DC, I think wins it all. I obviously plus 110 on DC isn't going to be great, but Seattle sitting there at plus 375, I think is far and away the best value on the board if they can get it done this week.
Yeah, thanks for telling your friends earlier in the season what we should have done. I appreciate it. No, that's fine. It's fine.
No matter who wins,
you gotta
Stormy
watch
wins.
the games. You gotta watch the games. I was telling people out there. I was
that's
telling
fair.
people.
It's been awesome watching you crush it on the sidelines and give everybody a ton of expert betting advice. We appreciate you, Stormy. Thanks so much for hanging out with us.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate you. Have fun.